Hi, my name is Jeremy Ha, and this is my presentation on genetic modification. So I believe that as of right now, strict government regulations should be held on genetic modification just because of all the unknowns about it. But after further research and development, genetic modification should be open to the general public. Now I know there's a lot of criticism against genetic modification, but I will be addressing these concerns and I will provide my insight to show why these concerns aren't really necessary. So the first concern is that genetic modification isn't safe, and I agree. As of right now, genetic modification is not safe and not applicable to the human body. However, we have seen great improvements in the study of DNA and genetic modification. For example, a lot of the food that you see at the market, such as corn and beans, they're all genetically modified. And this genetic modification allows us to have more food for more people. So it's a win-win, and ultimately there's no downside for genetic modification and no concern for safety because we've already seen great progress. The second concern is that it would cause people to be superior to others, and it would cause a disparity maybe in social classes because some people could afford the treatment and others can't. And I agree, this could cause some problems. However, these problems aren't big enough to um, stop the progress of genetic modification altogether. Here's an example. We have person A pictured in blue and person B pictured in red. So person A obviously has the genetic advantage because he is taller. And now from here, there are four ways this can go. The first one is where none of them receive any genetic modification and everything works out fine. The second option is where person A receives genetic modification to gain a bigger advantage. Now, at this point, before the genetic modification, person A already had the advantage. So widening the gap doesn't really make a difference. Now, option 3 is where person B receives the genetic modification to gain an advantage. And at this point, person A and person B are on equal playing field. So there really is no concern or discrepancy on fairness because they're at the same level now. And the fourth option is where they both receive the genetic modification. And now at this point, person A still has the genetic advantage just because he was originally taller. But since they were both able to receive the genetic modification, this is another fair option. So ultimately, it may seem unfair at first, but genetic modification really isn't unfair to the general public. And the third and final concern I will be talking about is with Down syndrome. This is a karyotype for Down syndrome. As you can see, on chromosome 20, there is an additional chromosome. And the concern about Down syndrome is that if we use genetic modification to prevent people from having Down syndrome, it could possibly come off as not being accepting of people with Down syndrome. And I understand this concern, but if we could stop people from having Down syndrome, we should, because whether we like it or not, people with disabilities get bullied. And if I were a father, I would want my children to live their lives comfortably and without bullying, without worry, having a lot of friends. And having Down syndrome kind of makes that difficult for them. So if we could, we should use genetic modification to get rid of Down syndrome. Thank you for listening.